Welcome back. You're watching live from Paris on France 24. It's time now for Campaign Chronicles, our regular countdown now to the second round of the presidential election. Last night, of course, we had the first round. Let's get some analysis on that now. Our French politics editor, Mark Perlman, fresh from covering that vote for us last night, is here with us. Good evening to you, Mark.
Good evening.
James Creedon's also here. He'll be telling us about the reaction in the press and on the blogs. Good to have you as well, James. All right, then let's just remind us a bit about the numbers from last night then, Mark.
Well, basically the three main lessons. Lesson number one, the turnout was much higher than most pollster commentators predicted. 80% of the French went to vote despite being a school holiday and despite
and a rainy day.
And a rainy day. Well, you can go to vote rather than go to the beach, so that's not an excuse, actually. But people said, oh, the campaign is boring. They went to vote. That's lesson number one. Lesson number two, Nicolas Sarkozy had said, I need to be on top in round one to have a chance to win in round two. Well, this didn't happen because, as we'll see, François Hollande, his socialist challenger, is ahead of Nicolas Sarkozy. We'll see the figures come up right now. Those are the final results, 28.6% versus 27.1%. Not a huge margin, but nevertheless an important step for François Hollande. Lesson number three, clearly the best score ever for the far-right National Front, with Marine Le Pen coming in third. She's eliminated, however, 17.9% is unforeseen in France.
Right, that's way ahead of the polls we were talking about, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, and François Hollande's pretty confident he's going to win the second round as well, isn't he?
Well, now obviously all eyes are on the second round. We'll see this time, of course, not final results, but the projections from Ipsos, they show a clear lead for François Hollande in round two, 54 versus 46 to Nicolas Sarkozy. And we need some explaining to do some math quickly, because if you add the total tally for the left in round one, you have 43.7%. If you add the total tally from the right, you have 46.9%. So it should be Nicolas Sarkozy ahead. However, he is not ahead because this is not pure mathematics. And the problem for him is that he needs votes from the centrist leader, François Bayrou, and the far-right leader, Marine Le Pen. And the projections show that for the centrist voters who went for François Bayrou, basically in round two, they intend for a third to vote for Nicolas Sarkozy, a third will vote for François Hollande, and the third will stay home. When it comes to those who voted for far-right leader Marine Le Pen, 60% said they would vote for Nicolas Sarkozy, around 20% for François Hollande, and 20% will stay home. So if you put all this together, this is not enough for Nicolas Sarkozy to win, and especially he's in front of a dilemma. He has to go to the far right and to the center at the same time.
He's got to win everybody over,
it's cruciating for him to do so. And the first indications he gave them tonight in his first rally after round one, he will clearly tack to the right. He will talk about immigration, about crime, about France, about the nation, and he's also certain he still holds a chance. Let's take a listen to Nicolas Sarkozy tonight.
One campaign is over and another begins. We waged the campaign of the first round, one party against 9 others. We waged a campaign against those who tried to predict the outcome, and against those who would have so loved to have decided the outcome in your place. Thank you for giving them the answer directly.
Merci pour la réponse que vous leur avez adressée en direct.
All right, a pretty ebullient Nicolas Sarkozy there. But François Hollande is officially the front runner now. He is ahead, and he too says he's going to be winning.
Yes, he says he's going to be winning, and he invoked the only French socialist president of the Fifth Republic, François Mitterrand, reminding people that in 1981, when François Hollande was elected, he garnered less votes than François Hollande did in the first round. Let's take a listen to François Hollande, who was in Western France, rainy Western France, I should add today.
We've even, I hope he doesn't hear me, we've even done better than he did in 1981. In 1981, he had 26%. We did it in over 28.5%. In 1981, he was second. We are first. And if in 1981 he won the presidential election, then we will win the presidential election.
All right, so those are the two candidates who will be facing off in the second round. Not in that round, though, is Marine Le Pen, although she did prove the pollsters wrong. The far-right leader scored just under 18%. That's a record high for the National Front. Her success has been attributed to her shaking off the Front's nasty party image to become a more palatable and mainstream alternative. And this is why.
The far right is now the third most popular political force in France. Under Marine Le Pen's leadership, the National Front almost doubled its number of supporters since the presidential election 5 years ago.
Dear friends, French people, nothing will ever be the same. Together, we blew apart the monopoly of the two parties of the banks and of finance.
Although cheered like a champion, Le Pen's presidential campaign is over. Unable to match her father's 2002 success when Jean-Marie Le Pen did make it through to the second round, much to the horror of French socialists. However, Le Pen Senior wasn't able to build on that success. Vehemently anti-Europe and anti-immigration, he remained on the fringe of French politics. At the beginning of this year, he handed the party reins to his daughter Marine, who was determined to bring the National Front into the mainstream.
Maybe he seems like a bit of an ogre that everyone is scared of, whereas she's more like the girl next door.
In 4 months, Marine Le Pen has garnered more public support than her father ever did. She put emphasis on social and economic issues like job creation, something that struck a chord with young people and workers. Yet she also played to her party values, such as nationalism, reducing immigration and crime. Now Marine Le Pen is a political force to be reckoned with.
This means that, in many ways, she wants Sarkozy now to lose, so that she puts herself in pole position to organise the way the right develops in the months and even years to come.
Le Pen may reveal next week which of the two remaining candidates she'll support, although typically the National Front never endorses one clear candidate, and with enough of their own support, in the future they may not have to.
So clearly very ambitious. Marine Le Pen, it's interesting because compared to her father, she wants to be in power. Her father relished being on the fringe and attacking the establishment, but she wants to be in power. She sees this as step one. Step two being the parliamentary election in a month's time, where she's hoping she will get some seats and be able to see the conservative right implode if Nicolas Sarkozy loses and if they end up losing the parliamentary election. So for Marine Le Pen, it's really an ambition, and we see that the result is clearly showing that it is working to a certain degree. Obviously, there's a crisis, the anger, the worries about the French that are helping her, but clearly she has made a big step for the National Front.
She wants to be in power, and as we mentioned, there is an ongoing image overhaul for the National Front. They're even talking about changing the party's name.
That's right. She sort of, they say in France, she diabolised, or the Front National, she destigmatized them. And now a name change, get rid of that old label of the Front National. There has been a discussion about renaming the party the Nouveau Droite, the New Right, which really would, I suppose, in people's minds, perhaps go further down the line again towards, dissociating them with a much more shady past. Now, another detail on that same website, Rachida Dati. Let's take a look at what she wore on Canal Plus television last night. You can see it there. A cannabis leaf, right?
Leaf, really?
Now, she says it was a eucalyptus leaf, which clearly doesn't look the same. And then they were saying it was a Japanese maple. I mean, it wasn't a Japanese maple either. It was a cannabis leaf,
Yes, and she was a former justice minister for Nicolas Sarkozy and very tough on drug consumers.
Showing us her rebellious streak, perhaps. Oh, I don't know. All right, James Creed and Mark Perlman, thank you both very much indeed. That's it for tonight's Campaign Chronicles. Stay tuned. More headlines coming up.